일찍 오셨네. 제가 늦은 거 아니죠?
그럼 바로 시작하죠. 개편 첫 손님이 김영세 대표님이시라고요?
우리나라에서보다는 사실 해외에서 더 유명하신 분인데 그 빌 게이츠도 21세기 혁신의 아이콘이라고 아주 칭찬을 많이 했던 유명한 디자이너죠.
그 부분에 관한 기사를 하나 찾았는데요. 여기 보시면 비스티클의 산업디자인계의 마이더스의 손이라고.
김영세 대표가 그동안 디자인하는 제품들이 되게 많거든요. 그래서 저희가 준비했으니까요. 다 함께 보시죠.
네, 제가 보여드릴게요. 첫 번째 아이리버. 그리고 하나 더, 일단 가로 붙는 핸드폰. 이것도 이분 완전 유명했죠. 저는 이 가로 붙는 핸드폰을 처음 봤을 때 이 작품이 한국 디자이너의 작품이라는 걸 놀라웠어요. 너무.
목걸이 피스들도요.
네.
학교 다닐 때 되게 유행했었거든요.
네, 저도.
저는 저런 디자인이 그냥 나온 게 아닌 것 같더라고요. 자료조사를 좀 하다 보니까 이런 기사를 봤어요. 이분이 인터뷰 중에서
사용자가 눈물이 날 정도로 기뻐야지 된다고 했잖아요. 그래서 창원 씨는 그 MP3를 처음 받았을 때 너무 기뻐서 눈물이 날 정도였나요?
울 걸 그랬네요.
안 울었어요?
예, 울 정도는 아니었는데 무슨 말인지는 충분히 알 거예요.
그런 작품들이 진짜 많은 게 이분이 한 작품이 세계적인 디자인상 웬만한 거는 다 이분이 휩쓰셨는데 그 이노디자인 홈페이지 가보면 그게 다 나와 있는데요. 거기 한번 열어줄래요?
아, 여기 있다.
좋은 디자인이 항상 가장 실용적이라고 하잖아요. 그리고 뭐 이노디자인이 그냥 일반 디자인 하우스인가요? 세계 10대 디자인 하우스 중에 하나라면서요. 김영세 대표님 관련된 기사를 좀 보니까는 좀 생소한 단어가 있던데 하트 스토밍? 브레인스토밍은 많이 들어봤지만은 하트 스토밍은 뭐예요?
저희도 그게 궁금해갖고 여쭤봤어요. 그러니까 하트스토밍을 원래 있던 말이냐 아니면 만드신 말이냐.
작가님,
그런데
제가 찾아보니까요. 그 하트스토밍이
강 작가님도 김영세 대표를 직접 만나보셨는데 어떤 분인 것 같아요?
일단 첫인상은 굉장히 청년 같으시고 얘기를 하면 할수록 굉장히 과학적이고 그리고 끊임없이 미래를 생각한다는 느낌을 되게 많이 받았어요. 그리고 레오나르도 다빈치 얘기를 본인이 입으로도 좀 하셨는데 아 본인이 좀 비슷하지 않나? 이런 생각을 좀 많이 했거든요.
레오나르도 다빈치도 있고 하트 스토밍도 있고 좀 재미있는 키워드가 많이 나온 것 같은데 한번 정리해보면서 어떠한 또 이야기를 풀어나가서 볼까요? 처음에 하트 스토밍이 있었죠. 레오나르도 카피오가 아닌 다빈치. 그래도 뭐가 있을까요?
저는 빌 게이츠 얘기를 좀 더 듣고 싶어요. 그 마이크로소프트에서 강연도 했다고 하시더라고요. 그 내용도 궁금하고.
그런데 김영세 대표 하면 변화와 혁신 그 두 단어가 적절한 매치되는 단어인 것 같거든요. 그래서 요즘 그 김영세 대표가 준비하고 있는 뭐 프로젝트나 이런 게 전 개인적으로 되게 궁금하거든요.
그걸 여쭤봤는데 요즘 말하기가 너무 좀 무서우시대요. 그러니까 말만 나가면은 그 디자인이 다 유출이 되고 모방이 되고 그래서 조금 더 제가 깊이 여쭤보니까 좀 신뢰가 되는 것 같아서 그랬는데 그 부분을 제가 승현 씨께 좀 패스를 해야 돼요.
그럼요, 제 임무죠. 네.
아 근데 김영세 디자이너가 요즘 제일 몰두하고 있는 컨셉이 퍼플 피플이라고 제가 들었거든요. 아 그거 제가 책에서 봤는데요. 퍼플 피플은 화이트 컬러나 블루 컬러 빛 중 어디에도 속하지 않고 새로운 것을 창조해내는 창의적인 사람을 뜻한대요.
아주 재미있는 대화가 기대되네요. Alright, perfect.
Hello and welcome to Heart to Heart. I'm Na Seung-yeon. I'm very happy to be your MC for this brand new season of Heart to Heart. I'm a new MC, but we promise to bring you all the best of heart-to-heart conversations with the leaders that are shaping Korean society. And today's guest is definitely one of the leaders that are shaping Korean society, in fact, the world in general. We're very honored to have with us world-renowned industrial designer Kim Youngse. Hello, and thank you for coming on our
Thank you
show.
for inviting me. I'm very happy to be your first guest.
We're
of your
very
program.
honored that you could join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You've been dubbed as an icon of innovation, a trendsetter. There are many words to describe you, and I think your work speaks for you as well. Could you describe some of the most innovative works for our audience?
Actually, if the most innovative, it has yet to come.
Yes.
I think what I've done in the past is just the past history. I don't think there's any one particular the best yet.
Well, I think
it is come. It is to come.
the best is yet to come, but
Best is
some
yet
of
to
your
come.
past works have been hailed as very innovative as well.
Rather than most innovative, most memorable,
Yes.
if you will, I can remember a few.
Okay.
And one of the products that I designed happened after my realization of design as such. Design for love. Design is loving others. That's my slogan. That's the slogan of my company, INNODESIGN. You know, and there's one project that I can remember as one example. That is the ladies' product, like a cosmetic, compact.
Yes.
I was given very interesting project from Korea, one of the major company of the world, invited me and asked me to design their compact design. And as you know, I mean, I never use it. So I was wondering what I should do. And by the time I get to San Francisco airport, my wife came to pick me up at the airport. We were driving down to, highway going home. And I was telling my wife, like, I've got an interesting project that is to design, compact for ladies. And she didn't take any time and asked me, like, please design this. And she says, most of the products she's using now does not have a mirror outside. So she has to open up to take a look at herself into the mirror. And she says she wished that there is something that she can grab out of bag and just look into mirror right away. So that gave me idea immediately, like, okay, then I can design the sliding, style where mirror is on outside and the rest is inside. So you slide it up to use it,
Right.
but you can grab it and take a look at yourself into the mirror. So I was so excited that I can design the world first product, and especially for someone that I love. And it took me no time to design. I made a sample, came back to Korea. I gave the design to my clients. They loved it. They sold millions of it.
Yes. I
That
think
was
they should
just-
bring it back into production.
Yes.
So you made your client very happy, and you made
Right.
your wife, I imagine,
Right,
very happy
right.
as well. So there are so many products, and I think you're being very modest when you say that they weren't innovative or you think the best is yet to come. I think they were very innovative at the time. But the way you describe it, the best is yet to come, and you're still on a process, on a quest to create more innovative designs. I think maybe this expression is related to that running point. You describe this as a running point. Now, turning point, that's a very definitive time in your life. But what is a running point?
Just about a few months ago, when I was toward the end of the year 2012, I all of a sudden, came up with the running point as did you hear that before? Running point?
No.
I never heard, but I created my own new English, expression.
Yes.
And a year ago, I told my friends and my designers, like year 2012 was going to be turning point, because whatever we have done for first 25 years, it is a chapter one. And I said to my people, designers and employees, like from year 2012, it's going to be different chapter now. So it's a turning point. So a year went by, and I thought, what should I emphasize to my people, and I said, what running point just came up, and that's because now that we turned around the corner, we better run, you know, because the speed is the name of the game these days. You know, this is with the change with the digital technology.
Right.
I think the first mover in any business takes the lion's share,
Yes.
if you will. So working hard is very important, but running fast is also very important.
But it almost sounds like an oxymoron to me because at the same time, yes, you have to stay ahead of the times and you have to create your trends in a way, but at the same time, you pursue timeless designs, designs that will stay, you know, classic, they will be loved over generations and generations. Isn't
Well,
that quite difficult?
Right. The design to me is going into the future. You know, you have to visualize and imagine like a year 2015 or 18, you know, depends on what kind of product you are designing right now. So we have to really enjoy, you know, imagining myself or ourselves in next 5 years from now, and just being there with imaginary ideas. But then again, once you grab some idea, you better run fast,
Yeah.
because it just disappear very quickly. So that's why you have to go really forward and predict and do all that imaginary works, and as well you have to be very quick. So I think design, to be a successful designer, it takes just about everything.
Yeah, very challenging work.
Very challenging.
And I imagine it was very challenging for a recent work that you completed for the National Museum of Korea. You created an iconic sort of
I love it.
piece
Yeah.
for the museum. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I love that project. About a year and a half ago, when I was called by the government of Korea to design such a project, I thought it was just so huge and, you know, great honor for Korean designer to be able to help country by designing something which is that remarkable. I visited the site back then, and I kind of came up with the idea like, wow, this is such a place where I can express myself, my love of Korea, and create a brand out of this project rather than just space interior architectural design. To me, it was more like an opportunity to create a brand of Korea and show off to the rest of the world, because that's the place where about 2 million people will come every year. Among them, lots of tourists and foreign people also. And the project was for the National Museum of Korea. So I thought, because it's a national museum, I wanted to show Korea iconic image, which I love, you know, from Taeguk, you know, from the Korean flag, national flag.
Right.
So I turned around the huge space, which is almost like a 1 kilometer long canvas, because it's a 255 meter times 4, right?
Right.
Left and right wall, ceiling and floor and everything. I just painted everything with iconic image of Korea. And you should visit if you haven't yet.
Well, I think we have a chance to visit right now. We have a video footage of 나들길 that we visited with you. So let's take a look now.
Great.
나들길, an underground path connecting Icheon subway station and the National Museum of Korea. Of the 3 million annual visitors to the museum, 60% use this path. The designer who transformed the once dull underpass is none other than Youngse.
The first thought I came up with was to design the entire space with Korean national iconic image, you know, which is what I've been trying to promote through my many different kind of product collections by INNODESIGN. But this being a national project, I thought it's very perfect case where I can put together my love of Korea, my country, by showing off the Taeguk and Eumyeong here. So you can find these curved lines all over the place on the wall, which shows and Yang, which is a part of Korea flag.
The 4 trigrams of the Korean flag are the design motifs for the ceilings and floors. The walls feature the yin-yang symbol and national treasures with LED lighting.
And this selection was done by myself. I love this Korean Kayagum music by Hwang Byung-gi, very famous Korean musician. So I picked that music and I also designed this bench. You can see it from there because I thought people want to sit down in the middle of walk. So in this project was quite intriguing because I designed the space, I designed the furniture, I designed the music, I designed the lighting. This is one of my first projects that I designed everything combined. Like again, experience.
The underpath from the subway station to the museum is 255 meters long. This short walk of 10 minutes stimulates all 5 senses of the visitor.
인터넷에서 찾아보고 이 길이 있다고 그래서 어떤 길일까 했는데 굉장히 현대적이네요. 그리고 벽을 보니까 전시되어 있는 유물들을 이렇게 모델로 한 것 같아요. 좀 특이하고 현대적이고 깔끔하고 좋은데요.
처음 와봤는데 너무 예쁘고 좋았어요. 한국을 좀 너무 많이 사랑하시는 분 같고요. 그리고 너무 꼼꼼하고 세세하게 너무 잘 해놓으신 것 같아요.
정적인 느낌도 들고 이렇게 그 여백의 미나 그런 고요함 그리고 한국적인 그런 문양들이 있어서 국립중앙박물관이랑 잘 어울리는 것 같아요.
So we had a look at it. I think the experience when you're actually there will be very different though because of the lighting, the music of the kayagum, the 12-stringed zither as well. Did you design the whole experience then?
Yes, to me it was one best example of an experience design project.
Okay.
Because I tried to simulate like a 10 minutes walk from the Icheon subway station to the front yard of the National Museum. There was a 255 meters long tunnel. Most important thing to me was to design the 8 to 10 minute walking experience there. So the light changes and the nice music is also part of the design. And you cannot forget Korea if you pass through one time through there. I mean, it will be in your mind. You remember like your experience, which is what I believe that I've done very successfully. And there's lots of people who love it. And I visit sometime like on Sunday just to see how people respond to my design. Just walking by, and I just feel so happy. Just looking at the face of people who kind of enjoys my design there. So it's a very interesting experience to me.
I know you're a very modest man, but can you tell me some of the reactions that you overheard or some of the reactions that you've been receiving on Twitter or especially from our visitors from overseas?
The tweeters expressed their feel after they visited the space, and as I expected, they find it as very serene place, this healing kind of place. And somebody says they could see my love of Korea from the project that I've done. And also some, company from Dubai recently contacted me and asking me if I would be interested in helping their subway design. So
after seeing
that through the news and informations.
That's amazing.
So this is a good start.
So you mentioned it's a huge project, 1 kilometer long, and you had to design the whole experience. But I heard somewhere that you finished making a sketch for this masterpiece in just 5 minutes. Is that true?
Well, I hope it's not gonna sound like very, exaggerating my talent or anything like that. But it just sometimes happens because when you are very excited about what you're planning on doing, you can't help but just thinking about some picture in your mind's eye. I mean, through imagination. It took 5 minutes to do such quick, little sketch, but it may took more than 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, ever since I wanted to become a designer and went to United States for my education, and I began loving Korea from back then. Because as you may remember, living in a foreign country make you love your country a little more so than perhaps people who really enjoy living here. And as a designer, I did many projects showing some Korean iconic touch or a story somewhere. I've been trying that many years. So that's why it took me only so little time to be able to come up with the idea for this museum project as well.
When we think of designers, although you're an industrial designer, we think of you also as an artist. And when we think of designers and artists, we think of them as being quite dreamy types. But actually, upon meeting you and having a conversation, you seem almost quite scientific. It seems like you come from a background of math or science, some more scientific background. Have you had that comment, or did you actually study sciences before design?
Well, I didn't really enjoy, like classworks and homeworks and much when I was in junior high school or high school, college. But I had to do just basic necessary science and mathematics and such. But the thing that I found from working as a designer, being different from being an artist, is that we design for business. So it has to be not only creative and artistic, but it has to make a logical sense. So I think design is emotional logic. And it's interesting to think of your brain. It's like a left side of brain is emotional side of brain. No, I'm the other way around. Sorry. Right side brain is the emotional part of brain. Left side brain is very logical part of brain. So I enjoy being a designer because I tend to use both of them. Because you can find some very sexy Porsche in front of you, and you can say, "Wow, I love it. It looks beautiful." But then again, you're not going to buy it until you're satisfied with all the logics of it, the price of it, the safety, the speed and function and everything. So I think for designers, science or even the mathematics is very important. And also design is trying to become a designer. I think we have to be an entrepreneur, because it's not just building a product and making product look good. It is like creating the new world, the future, and that requires your mind being a very innovative, entrepreneurial, visionary. I mean, it's not just art, it's most of everything in life. So it's very challenging, exciting, but like I said, it takes forever to really learn. But then again, it is a great news because it never stops. Right. You can enjoy doing forever.
So that makes me curious. How did you start out as a designer? What prompted you?
By accident. I mean, by just some case when long time ago, when I was about 16 years old, junior high school or high school, I went to visit my friend's house. I found one magazine that was very intriguing to me. I opened it up without thinking anything. I was bored with playing with friends back then, that day. So I looked through their library, and I picked one of the books, which happens to be a magazine. And when I opened it up, there was some interesting, beautiful pictures of automobiles, interior furniture, and very, very nice looking things in there, which I loved. And then I, found out the title of the magazine was Industrial Design. So that struck me as like new word, never heard. So I began thinking, there is a profession like this, industrial design, where you can enjoy building what you like and yet make money. You know, so I decided to become one back then. I was probably one of the very first students who decided to learn industrial design from Korea, I think.
I think so too. And you continue to be an innovator today too. But I've heard that the process in which you create designs, it's defined by something called heart-storming, like the running point. This is also quite a new term for me, and I think for most of our viewers as well. Heart-storming.
Heart-storming.
What is that?
I guess because I'm the Korean who runs business in America, so my English is very interesting. I create my own style of English, I guess.
Creative, yes.
In the meeting back in California, in my office, my studio, I was sort of excited from that meeting, and I told my designers, like, let's not do brainstorming anymore. Let's do some heartstorming. I just came up without even thinking. I guess the reason was I was a little, unhappy about the designer's presentation or a discussion and all that. So we have to take it a lot farther in understanding the mindset of the people, the consumers of any design. And I thought thinking about brainstorming is somewhat limited in creating something really new. And I wanted my designer to open up their hearts and share their idea from the heart rather than from the brain. And I just didn't know the word until I just used it. Heartstorming.
It sounds great, and I understand why you came up with the term. How do you implement it, though? It sounds a little bit hard to implement. From brainstorming, you come up with ideas. Heartstorming sounds a little bit more difficult.
That's why most of the meeting that I have is outside the company, actually. So sometimes in the conference room, but more than, most times outside. And then there's no schedule for my meetings.
So outside in the park?
In the park club, in the coffee shop, I sometimes walk outside to Starbucks and then call my couple of designers, come out and sit there and talk. So that's how I like my meetings, more than like a scheduled meeting, weekly meeting, monthly meeting. And I think more like creative ideas come from very different environments.
Right.
So I love meeting small groups of people without scheduled,
Spontaneous.
So spontaneous, ad hoc, if you will. And it can be anywhere.
I remember hearing from one very famous advertisement creative director as well, and he said he's inspired by the most mundane, regular things. So, and you said you're also inspired by what moves people, what touches their heart. So, rather than a conference room filled with people of your own company, you go to a coffee shop, you see other people, and what moves them, I guess. That makes perfect sense.
Right.
You also said that communicating openly with people is the most important thing in your creative process. And I think we had a look of that by visiting you at your workplace. So let's take a look at INNODESIGN now. Among the top 10 global design firms, INNODESIGN is the only company from Asia. As a company that has created numerous successful and innovative products, its interior boasts unique graphics, colors, and original designs. However, the office is empty. Where are all the designers? The designers are in a meeting at the cafeteria. The cafeteria is the most popular venue for heartstorming, a concept that is emphasized by Youngse. Designer Kim also joins in these meetings whenever he gets an idea.
여기 이노디자인은 좀 남들과 다르게 좀 자유로운 분위기를 많이 중시하거든요. 그 자유로움 속에서 또 다른 아이디어와 또 다른 또 모티브를 형성할 수 있게 그런 분위기에서 회의를 하면 좀 더 즐겁고 좀 더 창의적인 의견이 나올 것 같아서 이제 회의를 하고 있습니다.
As a first-generation industrial designer in Korea, how did he become the godfather of industrial design? Let's look at his working style.
So sometimes I write a book, sometimes I write or draw sketches. You know, I enjoy drawing, and I do a lot of sketching. And all these papers sitting on the table here and there at home, you know, there are many sketches sitting around.
Korean design is promoted through designer Youngse. He will never stop trying to bring more benefit to people through his designs.
대표님께서는 항상 그 꿈을 꾸시는 분이신 것 같아요. 늘 꿈꾸시는 분이시고요. 이 꿈을 어느 정도 만들었다 싶으시면 또 새로운 꿈을 꾸시고 항상 꿈을 계속 새로운 꿈을 꾸세요.
항상 그 주변 사물을 볼 때 관심 있게 많이 보세요. 그래가지고 사소한 거라도 놓치지 않고 생각하시면서 바로바로 스케치를 하시고 항상 노력을 많이 하시는 것 같아요. 그래서 상당히 디자인에 관련돼서도 열정이 많으시고 젊게 사시려고 하시는 부분이 상당히 좋아 보이고 저도 좀 많이 배워야 될 것 같다고 생각합니다.
So like a design company, there's many elements of design that we saw in your office, a brand new office in Pangyo. And I think I also saw a particular color, the purple. Also, you had it in your hands. Can you tell me what purple signifies to you?
A couple of years ago, I was thinking like a blue collar worker. I thought about blue collar worker and white collar worker. Like normally, we call all people in two kinds.
Yeah.
You know, there should be another group, which nowadays most important. So I began thinking like, what color should I use to call such a people who's like Steve Jobs, who's like myself, who's like entrepreneurs, you know, lots of startup business people in Silicon Valley. And all of a sudden I thought about purple. And people ask, why purple? I say, I don't know. I mean, I just grabbed it. And it turns out that the purple is most unique. And I called purple color as the group of people who's very important these days. Especially in Korea, there should be more purple people now than before.
I'd actually like to read you a quote that I think you made in an interview about the purple people. And you said, purple people just enjoy what they're doing, they have their own dreams, and they like to use their imagination without depending on capital or organizations. And as a result, they can give pleasure to others and at the same time gain tremendous wealth and fame for themselves. So that does sound like an ideal job, I think, for many. But in reality, I think it's maybe not so easy. What does it take to become a purple person?
Well, you have to first enjoy what you are doing. I mean, I believe you are one purple people right away because you do what you enjoy doing. So purple people does not really define only the creative business people. Purple people simply to me is like whoever who likes what they do, you know, in living. So if you really do what you love doing, it's not like a job anymore. It's like a part of your career building. So, I mean, for example, if you're working for a restaurant as a waitress or a waiter, for example, if your interest is to work for customer of the restaurant, then you are more purple people. If you're working just for your owner or employer, then you are more like a normal people. So it's just like a different mindset.
Yeah.
You know, so I think even for the big companies or, you know, any group of, you know, people, there's now very potentially, you know, great purple people there. It's just that they don't know that they are. I want them to learn, you know, how they can enjoy what they do more so than they become better in what they do as well.
I think it's two sides, really. You can have something that you love you can identify that from a very young age. Like if you were 16 and you decide industrial design is what you want to do and you love it. Or you could learn to love what you're good at or what you're doing. And it's just a mindset, like you said.
Right.
And it's also not just the responsibility of the person, but the company. And I think INNODESIGN is probably where you have a lot of purple people.
I hope.
Yes. how do you choose your people at INNODESIGN? How do you choose these purple people then? Do you choose just purple people or people who have the potential to become a person, a purple person?
That's a very interesting question. Actually, it's not my choosing people. It's like people choosing me. It's like there's a lots of designers who chose me, who calls me, who writes to me, and ask me to see them, and then we become interested, to work together. So I don't go out there to meet people more than people coming to see me, to work with me together. So most of people working out of and like what I usually do. So our team of people, to me, most likely they are purple, and I try to give them freedom, and I want them to give back their ownership in working. I want them to be an owner of their project, and I want them to be very free in working, like flexible in working. So we try to create the individual success out of a team success.
Well, a lot of our viewers would look at you and think of you as a very, very successful man with a very successful design company as well. But I imagine, like anyone, you have had some bitter failures in the past. Yes, like one major lesson that's helped you, that you learned from failing or failure.
That's the kind of question that I don't really like, because that makes me to go back, like trying to find out when was the failure. I just don't like spend my time going back, thinking backwards. But to give you a list, I guess I have to give you one answer. Let's see. Well, I have quite a few products sitting in my warehouse back in my studio in California, because I'm kind of designer who wants to build myself if a client doesn't want. That's the reason why I failed a few times. And one of the projects that I failed was like a traveling golf bag. Obviously, without having experience of marketing and sales and all, it was difficult, and I couldn't sell, quite many, and I failed. I had lots of inventories, sitting in the warehouse and stuff. But that failure, though, eventually helped me learning about how to build the business with design. Design is not just drawing, or design is not just a pretty picture. Design is to know the user. Design is to know the technology. Design is to know the manufacturing processes. Design is to know how to distribute. And the turnkey education I've got through one failure that I had. So, come to think of it, it was a great failure. I mean, without it, I couldn't have learned as much as I have. So I accept it as positive failure.
The golf bag that you mentioned, is it the hard case golf bag?
Yes, hard case golf bag.
Didn't that win design awards though?
That was a second model. First one was failure. But then I didn't drop it permanently. I created the second model, which is much success. So the one failure connects to the huge success right after. I mean, in fact, the second product won Design Award, and it was Best Product Design of the Year by the Business Week of America. And also the most memorable thing about that design is pretty recently, I found someone at the airport. I noticed somebody was standing in front of terminal, standing like this, the back, and I saw the protect my design. So I was so interested. I drove in front of him, rolled down the window. I asked like, how do you like it? And he said, I love it, And then the moment that when he said he loved it, I really was emotionally moved so much. I mean, I was so excited and said, I'm the designer of that product, and he really was excited. We shook hands, and he showed me about the design. He said he traveled millions of miles with my design back, and he was in love with it. So that's the kind of moment that pays for everything, of the failure, of the difficulties, what have you. So the failure is something that you have to learn from, but it's important that you have to come back and then do something, that can recover. You cannot recover everything, but failure gives opportunity to learn something new, a new challenge. That's why you shouldn't really afraid about failure.
I mean, when you're talking about failure, there's a twinkle in your eye. It seems like you really quite enjoyed failures in a way. But I hear you gave a lecture at Microsoft as well, right? Could we hear about how it went?
Well, Microsoft invited me for a lecture a few years ago, and I gave a lecture to about 1,500 game designers at their Seattle campus. And obviously my content was very similar. The lecture that I gave to some Korean companies or people in college was pretty much the same contents for my lecture in back then to Microsoft designers. What impressed me was that the response was identical from my presentation, my speech. When I said something about the slogan of INNODESIGN being a design is loving others, I showed them the images of my son's sketch. My son created very interesting coupon book for his mother and for Mother's Day, and he presented the coupon to her in offering like car washing, dishwashing, garage cleaning, and back massage and such. With each page, a very interesting cartoon like drawings, and which said expire certain days, in 2 months, whatever. And the last page of the book shows like giving her love, and there's no expiration. It's for forever. And I noticed my wife, really start crying when when she opened up the last page of it. And that moment, I realized design is loving others. That was a huge lesson to me. So I showed the people of Microsoft the same image and talked about it. And I found many people were starting kind of, like,
Cheery, yeah.
So, that was kind of interesting and surprise to me. It happened a few times in Korea, but the response from people back in Microsoft campus was identical. So I decided that the design really comes from loving others, for sure. That was an interesting memory.
So your compact case was inspired by your wife, and your sort of motto for the company, design is loving others, was inspired by your son. And it seems like your son is also very artistic or very creative as well. Is he following your steps into becoming an artist or a designer?
He actually is doing a little program, I think, for Arirang FM radio. I mean, he's a musician, and he became a musician rather than designer. But he says that there's not much difference between creating design or creating music, and I tend to agree. I mean, in the big picture, I think he's in the same business or same area.
Purple area.
Yeah, purple area. And he's a singer-songwriter, and he's now working in Korea, writing some music and doing some concert and singing. And he's working with the Lee Seung-hwan.
Yes.
Recently they, contract and they work together, and hopefully you will see him doing some music, and
What's his name?
invite him for your next show.
I think I will. What's his name?
MYK.
MYK.
His name is Michael Yoonmin Kim, but people call him MYK, and some Korean kids call him Miyeokguk from MYK.
Okay.
But,
So you weren't upset when he didn't decide to follow in your footsteps and become a designer?
I never had to, because what I love from my kids is the fact that they love what they do. I mean, that's the most important thing.
How many employees right now?
We have about 40.
40 here, and then worldwide, I guess.
Yeah. 학교에서도 가르쳐서 되는 게 아니라 사람들이 그걸 즐겨야 돼요. 그리고 성공해서 돈도 벌어야 돼요. 이게 뮤지엄
네,
나들길인데 여기 보면은
진짜
이쪽에
비슷하네요, 벌써.
바닥,
네.
천장, 양쪽
네.
벽. 그러니까
네.
저거 결과물 본 거를
네.
이 순간 내 머릿속에 상상 속에 딱 뜬 거지. 그러니까 이 디자인은 그 순간을 포착하는 거잖아요.
Coming to different aspect, not so many fond memories about some unfair situations where I think we mentioned it in the beginning. If you talk too much, maybe you find that sometimes your ideas are stolen or they're copied, and that makes you feel very uncomfortable. And how does that come about?
I think we have to learn how important it is to respect someone else's idea or innovation or intellectual properties. So it's not just Korea. Now there's lots of issues between overseas companies in fighting against with the intellectual properties all over the place. So it's just not me. It's the most design world which have to go through understanding how important it is to respect someone else's intellectual property. And I hope that time is to come soon so that most creative people they deserve what they get. But it's in the process of improving, I guess. But it wasn't easy.
Korea is in a period of transition. We used to be a follower, but now we're turning into a leader because of our changed status
That's true
as well.
too.
And I
That's true.
think it's not just internationally, but internally as well within Korea, that culture of having the confidence to go ahead with your own design and create your own.
Right, that's a
creations.
good point.
Yeah.
You know, Korea is becoming like a world-leading countries. I mean, with the economic power and successful branding of main few industries, Korea is becoming a country where there's not too many competitors to follow. It's rather we have to create than follow. So design become again very important issue these days for Korean.
And unfortunately, time is running out, but could you tell us about some of the new projects, something called Design Valley?
Well, this is just in planning stage, so we have yet another 3-4 years to see it happening because it takes that long time. But in part of Korea, I decided to build a design park, design cluster. And I began with the city of Gwangmyeong in Korea, where I developed the entire industrial park with design contents. So once it's built, you can find Design Academy of INNO, and you can also museum. You can also come to Museum of INNO, also concert hall, and design-centric different businesses. So this is a huge plan, and that's my also another, next important project.
So you're going to have to keep running hard
Running
and running
fast.
fast. Yes.
Running point.
Well, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time from your running
Thank you.
time and for sharing your dream with us. And
Thank
I
you.
think for inspiring many of our viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
That was designer Kim Youngse, who is head of INNODESIGN, inspiring us with his love of design, but also love of Korea and love of people. We thank him once again for joining us, and thank you for joining us. See you next time, and please tune in to arirantv.com for any reruns of our show. See you next time.
그렇지.
감사합니다.